but I'm here. Okay, let's call it to order. Go ahead, Marcy, read the statement, please.
Sure. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on December 18th, 2020, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7. The purpose of this special meeting is to approve various resolutions and any other business that may come before the council. Action will be taken.
Roll call, please.
Burger,
Here.
Councilmember Murphy,
Here.
Councilmember Pitsker,
Here.
Councilmember Weller, here, Council President Shortway.
Present. Okay, can we salute the flag, please? All rise.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
the
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty and justice for
justice
all.
for all.
Thank you, folks. Okay, Morrissey, we'll turn it over to you. Public comments limited to 3 minutes per person on any topic. Anyone desiring to speak, please raise your hand so Morrissey sees you. State your name and where you reside, please. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion open to public.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, Marcy, the controls are yours.
Sure. I have two that were emailed to me that if it's okay, I'll read them first.
Sure.
The first one is from Thomas McClackery. While Wikipedia Legends has a lot to say about the various Metairie, is that how you say it, lawsuits, in its future was concisely and precisely put by a timeshare owner. We were promised this was going to be the jewel of the Northeast, and it's the pits. Rob Barron, 2007. The essence of the resolution deals with our liquor license and the town relinquishing oversight of the property. Article 5. And shall not object to any application filed by Metairie and or its principals, successors, and assign seeking zoning approvals and or building permits required for the redevelopment of the hotel and property. Currently, Legends owes $724,000 in 2019 property taxes, of which Metamori intends to pay $472,659,000, netting Metamori $2 million. I'm sorry. Let's see. $251,340 in property taxes payment savings. They do not intend to pay the property taxes on the common areas such as pools, restaurants, theaters, indoor tennis courts, racquetball, etc., or the 64 commercial areas. Vernon Tax Office currently has 624 separate taxable units at the hotel. Of that, Metairie proposes to pay taxes on 404 residential units. Those residential units are the former and current timeshare units they originally sold and changed annual maintenance fees for. Legends. These are his questions. In 2018, a Vernon official stated that Metairie owed $3.5 million in back taxes, of which $2 million was the municipalities. In 2020, a Vernon official stated that Metairie owed $724,000 in back property taxes for 2019. How much does Metairie owe in total back property taxes? Article 2 and 3 deal with construction and liquor license litigation. Once Metairie pays the 2019 residential portion of the property taxes, $472,659,000, all litigation will be stopped with prejudice and without cost, fees and payment of any fines by Metairie. How much are the town's legal fees and construction fines and that the town will give up? Article 4 deals with acceptance of payment, $388,151 on June 30th, 2021 of all residential assessed properties at the hotel. Vernon tax rolls currently list 624 separate taxable units at the hotel. How many of the 624 taxable units at the hotel are classified as residential? Article 5 and 16 with the timelines and their fluidity. Consent to any extension requests shall not be unreasonably withheld by Vernon and shall be further subject to enumerated paragraph 16. Why is the town enter into a contract when the conditions of Article 16 are already in effect? Article 16 deals with tolling events, pausing of the process. Paragraph C has long list of events which will stop the contract timelines and includes this infectious disease, including and not limited to coronavirus and the continuing COVID-19 pandemic during the time a state of emergency exists in the state of New Jersey concerning coronavirus, COVID-19, or any other infectious disease, technological disaster. Why is the list of acceptable tolling events so long? I am almost done. State laws requires property taxes to be paid quarterly in Vernon, and Article 4 states the following. On or before June 30th, 2021, Metairie and or its principals and assigns shall pay to Vernon the amount of $388,151, which shall constitute payment in full for all outstanding 2020 taxes. Why are you signing a contract saying that Metairie can pay their total property taxes in June 2020? Last paragraph. The resolution 2060 states the following. Mayor is authorized to execute a settlement agreement with Metairie Corporation and Legends Resort Country Club Condominium Association in a form similar to the attached agreement. The township attorney may make applicable language changes deemed in the best interest of the township. His question, last question, is Metairie currently in litigation with various entities, Superior Court, class action, etc., and have the appropriate attorneys been notified of this contract? And that's his comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second one.
I also have one more that was emailed to me. This is from Harvey Rosef from Byram Township. Dear Mayor Burrell and Vernon council persons, Allberger, Murphy, Pittsger, Shortway, and Weller. Before you today is a mayor's initiative to have Vernon Township forfeit fines levied on a rich property owner. We can frame this issue as one concerning money, but morally it is much more. 3 years ago, Vernon Township waded into a convoluted private legal matter because this property has a property ownership arrangement that impacts development. The private property has condo ownership claims, timeshare owner claims, and claims of the property owner. Vernon decided to aid the property owner by coldly evicting renters from their home by claiming fire prevention codes were not adhered to. Low-income families were muscled out by the government, and financial pressure was put on condo and timeshare owners to submit to the will of the property owner. Before you now is a mayor's request to dismiss the fines that Vernon Township has claimed as legal justification for their eviction action. Removal of this veil of legitimacy is morally disgusting and a slippery slide. Have the rich paid their fines? It is an American value lesson worth teaching. Applied here, the lesson is not just about an affordable fine for code violations that were used to justify kicking families out of their home. It is a priceless leadership lesson of equality that will pay dividends in the future. The rich pay fines too. And those are the two comments that I had emailed to me.
Thank you, Marcy.
You're welcome.
Are there any other members of the public desiring to speak?
Let me see. Yes, I have James Santanastasso, and I should be able to say that with my last name. Hold on, please.
Well, you did, so thank you.
Oh,
Actually,
good.
perfectly. I'm James Santanastasso. I'm actually a resident of Hampton, but I'm a prospective Vernon resident. Hopefully, once COVID settles down, I'll be able to finish my move and get up there. But I just wanted to briefly voice my support and thank the council for, taking the time and, putting in the effort to possibly get this situation handled, because I'm a politics junkie. I'm also a big time, local news guy. And I've seen redevelopment projects like this happen in the past in a lot of different towns around the state. And a lot of times you see projects like this, and, it can be as complicated as it looks right now. I mean, it's no secret that this is going to be definitely a complicated issue, and it could potentially be an issue for, the town in the future. But you guys are doing all of the things that need to be done to properly protect the town and move the town forward. So I wanted to laud that effort. That's an amazing thing. You guys are really taking a huge step. Hopefully, this deal with this corporation becomes, something fruitful, that, the property can be redeveloped and it can be brought into or turned into something that is going to create a lot of tourism and a lot of, revenue for the town. That property is known all throughout the state. I know people all up and down because of my work of the state, and 9 times out of 10, the only things they know about Sussex County is Mountain Creek or the old Playboy Club. So, the idea of this coming back has already gotten a lot of people talking. A lot of, a lot of people are already starting to ask me, thinking, because I'm usually the only person I know from Sussex. But, a lot of people are definitely very interested. This is nostalgic for a lot of people. My father even used to go to this property and use the pool when he was a Boy Scout in the 80s or the 70s. So, the idea that this property could be coming back or resurrected is going to be, I believe, and a lot of other people believe around the county, a huge boon not only for Vernon but for Sussex. So I do urge you all to definitely support this deal that the mayor had put forward. I know there's a lot of potential, and people see a lot of potential issue for this, but at the end of the day, this is the only way that Vernon is going to be able to move forward and put this chapter of its history to bed. So, like I said, please, please, please support this deal, and, really remember that this is more than just Vernon now. This is the entire county. So thank you very much for letting me speak, and have a great day.
Thank you, James.
I have Tom McClackery.
All right. Real quick, thank you for reading the questions, but you skipped the end of question number 7, which was, obviously this will exclude public comments on a final, not draft, public document. By accepting the language, are the mayor and council persons not opening themselves up to potential personal liability versus a public official's liability? That's all I wanted to add, and thank you very much.
Sorry, Mr. McClackery.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Let's see. I see no other hands up.
Okay, therefore, can I have a motion to close public comments?
Motion to close the public.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone in opposition? Anyone abstaining? Seeing and hearing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. What I'd like to do is pull resolution 20-266 out. That's the one, the resolution regarding Mountain Creek, which we already have it pulled. The rest, we can go by consent unless someone wants to pull them. I'll read them all. And if you want to pull the resolution out, please do so. Consent agenda, Resolution 20-261, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending Resolution 20-188, Township of Vernon regarding proposed improvements to Breakneck Road Phase 2. This resolution amends Resolution 20-188. Resolution 20-262, refund overpayment, Block 79, Lot 3, Larhita Shani. This and the next three resolutions approve refund overpayments, which is Resolution 20-263, refund overpayment, Block 256, Lot 16, Michael Hearn. Resolution 20-264, refund overpayment, Block 496, Lot 44, Loretta. Resolution 20-265, refund overpayment, Block 418, Lot 9, CoreLogic. Resolution 20-266, authorizing the award of a required disclosure contract with Interaction Insight Corporation for Police Department Voice Data Recorder. This resolution authorizes an award of a required disclosure contract. Does anyone want any of those resolutions pulled? Seeing no one, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make a motion to accept 2261 through 2266.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Council President, I should do a roll call for this.
All right, go ahead. Please do.
Okay.
Thank you, Marcy. I appreciate
That's
that.
all right. Vice President Auerberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, resolution 20-260. Resolution authorizing a settlement agreement with Monterey Corporation and Legends Resort Country Club Condominium Association. This resolution authorizes a settlement agreement. Discussion. Does anyone wanted to say anything before? If we get a motion, well, let's go to a
Mr.
motion
Council
first.
President, may I please?
Well, let's get a motion first.
Motion for discussion?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No opposition? No one's abstaining. Okay, let's have a discussion. Mayor, please do.
Mr. Council President, council members, one of the goals when I became mayor was to successfully do what I call pick up the mantle that had been carried, I think, so gallantly by former Mayor Shortway in the previous council, and to work with the council that the voters had selected to be my governing partners to achieve the objective of changing the decades old status of the Legends facility to that of a facility that the town could look at with some degree of pride. It has actually been for decades a facility that was a town eyesore and a tax liability. And I wanted to try to do what I could to make it a tax-paying corporate citizen. And I wanted to achieve this goal without having to take the unilateral and costly approach of exercising the eminent domain process of having the town to take possession of this Legends facility. Because quite frankly, the town does not need the financial burden of owning this property. The only way that I know of to avoid this unilateral and costly eminent domain process is to get Mr. Hilly Myers, who is the principal owner of the Legends property, to enter into a written legal agreement with the town that would break this decades-long stalemate, and that would put the town on the path towards achieving its Legends-related objectives. I believe that this legal agreement that's before you today does exactly that. And if someone knows of a different and a more effective and efficient way to achieve this objective, I would love to have them to present it, because the status quo is something that we just can't tolerate anymore. It's too costly. Specifically, this written agreement would result in all of the taxes, interest, and penalties for the exterior of the Legends buildings and grounds, plus the 504 interior units that Mr. Myers claimed full ownership and tax responsibility for, being paid through the period 2020. Now, Mr. Myers has already met the initial commitment of this written legal agreement, that of him paying his 2019 taxes, and because he paid them late, he paid interest and he paid penalties of almost $500,000, and he did this by December 1st, as I had asked him to, and as the council had asked me to ask him to. And this written legal agreement requires that he pay his 2020 taxes, and again, all of the interest and penalties on or before June 30, 2021. Number two, this written legal agreement would result in Mr. Myers either A, obtaining a final construction or mortgage loan commitment for the redevelopment of the hotel and the property, or B, obtaining a fully executed contract for the sale of the hotel and property, and he would have to do this by June 2021. Number three, in the event that Mr. Myers cannot, or if he does not obtain a final construction or mortgage loan commitment for the redevelopment of the hotel and the property, or obtain a fully executed contract for the sale of the hotel and the property by June the 30th, 2021, this written legal agreement would automatically trigger the action of retaining an auctioneer to conduct an auction of the hotel property on or before October the 1st, 2021, with the proceeds from the auction being first applied to the payment of any and all of Mr. Myers' Legends tax liabilities. And number four, because of the difficulty of attracting partners for a construction or a mortgage loan commitment for the redevelopment of the hotel and property, or obtaining a fully executed contract for the sale of the hotel and property, when there is a legal case against the property, Mr. Myers requested that the town agree to dismiss the existing litigation that the town has against the Legends facility before the Sussex County Construction Board. This litigation is for the payment of approximately $60,000 in fines relating to the removal of individuals from the Legends facility in 2019. Now, based on my discussions with our municipal attorney, this is really not a critical concession for the town to make. That is, our municipal attorney estimates that a case of this nature will last about a week and cost the town more than the $60,000 in fines that we see. And then there is no guarantee that at the end of this trial that we would actually win the trial, win the case. So as not to allow the Sussex County Construction Board case to prevent us from either, number one, making this written legal agreement with Mr. Myers, or number two, being an obstacle to Mr. Myers' chances of attracting partners for a construction or a mortgage loan commitment for the redevelopment of the hotel and property, or obtaining a fully executed contract for the sale of the hotel and property. This written legal agreement grants that request. Number five, and because the Legends property will be viewed as a much more desirable property if Mr. Myers could offer it as a property with an unencumbered liquor license, he requested that the town withdraw its objection to the just 1 year renewal of the Legends liquor license. I recommend that we agree to this request, since we can always renew our objection to the renewal of this liquor license when the renewal comes due 1 year from now. That is, if things don't work out with Mr. Myers as we hope. And this is a liquor license, number one, that must stay in the state of New Jersey, not state of New Jersey, will stay in the town of Vernon. And this liquor license is tied to this property. Now, while this written legal agreement with Mr. Myers may not be 100% of what I or any member of the council would want, it is a written legal agreement that enables us to achieve the goals of preventing the town from being forced to use the unilaterally and costly eminent domain option to break this decades-long Legends property stalemate. And it puts the town on the path towards achieving its Legends-related objectives of changing the decades-old status of the Legends facility from that of a town eyesore and a major tax liability to that of a facility that the town could look at with some degree of pride and as a facility that would be a tax-paying corporate citizen. Now, this is not a perfect deal. This is not a perfect agreement, but I believe that it is a good deal. And I therefore ask that the council, as a collective group, to please vote to approve this written legal agreement and thereby not allow the perfect, which we would all want, to be the enemy of the good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jane, senior member.
Sure. Well, most of you, other than Councilmember Weller, know my feeling on this because we had quite an extensive discussion in executive session at our last meeting. And while the mayor believes that this is the best deal for the town, I couldn't disagree with him more, as he's well aware. To me, this was not a negotiation. This was just, what would you like us to do? And we're just, once again, turning over to a large corporation, whatever it is they please. Now, I know members of the public, some have been around for a while, that have spoken, and some have not. So they may not have the background on what has actually happened here. What would have been in the best interest of the town is that Mr. Meyer pay his taxes instead of us having to go through this time and time again. He's not the only one, but right now he's the one at hand. As far as this agreement goes, now we've had, like I said, several discussions in executive. My feeling is, you know, as far as the issues with the building and the fines, okay, if we did concede to that, fine. He paid his 2019 taxes. Okay, so did I. So did everyone else. You're telling me the man has a lot of money, then pay your taxes. The other issue is releasing his liquor license. I made it clear, I do not agree with the onset, just because he paid his 2019 taxes, that we release his liquor license. I would agree to him paying his 2020 taxes by March 1st of 2021. Then we can consider releasing his liquor license. Whether or not the property is of more value to him, if we release the license, should not be the township's responsibility, should not be the responsibility of the taxpayers. We're not here to help him make more money. We're here to make sure that the town is being run properly, not to, you know, for these big businesses. If we wait till June 20th, now what'll happen? You'll have to put more money in the budget for the uncollected taxes. So he's just part of the issue here. He's part of the problem. And you're not correcting it. You know, I don't see how you're correcting any of this. You know, it's retain an auctioneer by October. If he knows by June 30th that he's not getting his money for redevelopment, July 1st he should hire this auctioneer. Why again is it being postponed for 3 months? None of this makes any sense. The only sense this makes is that it's continually kicking the can down the road. It's another year of nothing. It would be great. No one's against the Legends Hotel, and I brought up the pilot program last time. Pilot program was not just talked about for the water park. That never happened. Legends Hotel was in discussions back then, and I think I'm the only one here that's left from the council when that was going on. The other thing is, it would be great for the sewer system if Legends was up and running. If we made them connect to the sewer, because their plant, from what I understand, is not functioning, and it would be millions of dollars for them to replace that. So, and nowhere in this agreement does it ever say that he has to be current on his 2021 taxes, because given his track record, he won't pay next year's taxes. Just looking through, and the resolution states something that the mayor can change this agreement. No, why would we as a council vote on an agreement giving the mayor the authority to change it at any given date? That's insane. I don't know why anybody would want to vote for that. We've had, you know, And I have to say, I mean, some of the properties that the mayor's been involved in, I've asked questions about Northwoods. We've had discussions. I'm getting no answers on my emails for that. No answers from those discussions that we've had. We've seen where, you know, the Stanhill property, sure, we're going to now take that over. I mean, it's just, I'm looking at these other properties that maybe some of the residents are not, and I'm seeing a pattern here of some of these negotiations. But like I said, the way this is written, this is not for the town. This is not in the good interest of the public. This should be reworded. And like I said, definitely not giving up that license, because we're just handing over everything to somebody without anything in return. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jean. John?
I'm pretty much in agreement with Gene. As much as I want to see this project move forward because it benefits the people of the town if they're paying their taxes and hopefully using the sewer system, I'm not happy with this agreement. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Kelly?
I know I wasn't on for last week's executive session, so I did miss some of the conversation back and forth, but I think I agree. I don't know that I like some of the wording in here. I don't like the idea of giving them back their liquor license. I think we need to kind of go back and do some changing in the way this is worded a bit to protect the town. That's all. No, that's it.
Andrew?
Well, I'm also very deeply concerned on how our corporate taxpayers, not just Meditari, they all continually pressure us in this town and put the burden on the common taxpayers who pay their taxes faithfully every quarter. And this has become a habit of corporate America. And it's not right to this town. Meditari and specifically Hilly Myers have benefited over the years of these tax breaks and forgivenesses on fines. It's time to stop this. It really is. My question to Mr. Myers directly is, what have you given back to this town? This really concerns me. It really does. In the quest to find an amicable solution, we are giving him a Christmas gift of approving this resolution. My expectations, if we do, is you make good on your promises. And additionally, give back to the taxpayers of this town some good. Bring business into this town that help our ratables. You've been dragging us along here. It's time to stop. It's time for you to do the right thing for Vernon. This includes start paying your taxes on time. I've heard it from John, heard it from Jean, heard it from Kelly. We're not happy with this. So in 2021, show us some good comes out of this resolution if it becomes approved. So I therefore hope that Meditari and specifically Hilly Myers, who leads this group, do the right thing and bring some financial benefits back to Vernon. The ball is in your court, not ours. You've done enough damage to us. So we'll see how this resolution plays out here in the vote. I don't have any other solutions. I look at it and say, I listen to all of my other colleagues here in the town council and don't see a better solution than this. Maybe we can go back and change some of the language and get it right. Mayor, I don't like the idea of you have the option to change things without approval of the council here on this agreement. And that I am concerned with. So I would like us to look back at that and see whether or not we can change some of that language. But as I said before, the corporate people in this town have put a lot of burden on us. It's time, not just for Meditari, but for many of the other corporate taxpayers in this town. Start paying your taxes on time as well. Thank you.
All right. You know, this is, it's not the greatest agreement, I agree, but it's a step forward. It's a step forward, and if we don't approve it, we're not moving forward. If these other considerations, if he fails to do this, then we're right back where we start with. The big picture has been to bring Mountain Creek, Minerals, Legends, and Crystal Springs together for further development, to indirectly and directly to create revenue, decrease the rut, and to increase EDUs so we can stabilize these sewer rates, which are way too high. Such a goal will stabilize these goals if we can get all these resorts to move forward. Our residents, the property taxpayers, as well as all the other residents will benefit, and the small businesses. This has been a challenging goal. There are many moving parts to this very complex puzzle, not only with Legends, but the entire township. But we are moving forward. The journey started in 2016 as I formed the council in 2016, and only Gene was around then. Then Monterey, in a letter dated June 8 to Andrew Mulvihill, who Monterey claims is responsible for the several rooms containing the tenants that were located on the 8th and 7th floor. That's where the safety violations we saw was. But it was much more than safety. Safety is the most dominant thing we were considering back then. But it's our own law also. Here's by letter from Archer and Grenier attorneys at law dated February 16, 2000, addressed to the Sussex County Board of Taxation and Adler Steinhardt Funding, incorporated 15 rooms on the 8th floor. I'm not going to go through all the patients, but what it really come to, residents were living in Legends permanently against our codes. And then you had the safety violations, which would be long and lengthy. Who was responsible? Was it Mulvihill's LLCs, other LLCs, or was it Hilly Meyer? We've had fires there. It's been an eyesore. I look at if we could get them in our sewer service area to redo their plant. I found an estimate from about 10 years ago was $6 million to redo their plant there. If we can hook them up, that could be 200,000 gallons of wastewater every day should this property develop. My first concern, as I said, was always the safety of those residents. Then it was tax stabilization for all our taxpayers. No one was hurt on Monterey than myself. I went after, in 2016, I started on the ABC. I started with Hilly Meyer, and when I made no movement forward, we broke off negotiations. I called in the fire inspectors, the building inspectors, removed the tenants because it was not safe for them and it was against our codes. So no one has been harder than Mr. Meyer than myself over the last 4-5 years. This agreement does not make me happy, and there is risk involved, but we need to go forward. We need to take this chance for 1 year to see what happens. That ABC license can't leave Vernon. It stays here. But if we don't approve this, we're going to lose the additional revenue at a time with COVID and pandemics. I don't know what the total budget's going to look like because it hasn't been presented to us yet. I think this is an acceptable risk. Like I said, I'm not in agreement with everything here, but it's a step in the right direction. We have nothing to lose by approving this at this time. There may be other battles to fight in 2021 and 22, but that's what we'll have to do if that's what it's called for. We've been fighting for 4 years to get something going. I think the mayor's done a good job in moving this forward. Let's give him the opportunity to put this together and to carry it forward. That's all I have to say. Do we have a motion?
No, I actually have a few more things to say.
All right, go ahead.
This is a discussion. You know, that's a real nice speech, Harry, but let's face it, this is not a good deal for the taxpayers. This is a good deal for Hilly Meyer and Hilly Meyer alone. There's absolutely no reason why we have to give them everything. They should perform, and they should perform for the taxpayers of this town that have had to deal with his garbage over there for so many years. And this is day in and day out. The issues, our police department, our zoning, everybody has had to deal with this. And now you think that you make a this little speech and everybody should just follow you. Going back to Mountain Creek's agreement, exactly, that was fine. But the only thing you were concerned with was getting that $918,000. You had nothing to do with any of the negotiations till the very end when the state called us in. And for you to sit here and think and try to tell us that this is a good thing, and for anybody to start spewing about eminent domain, that's just reckless. Hilly Meyer needs to pay his taxes. He needs to be accountable to the residents of this town, and he needs to do the right thing. It's enough. We've done enough for everybody.
Mr. Council President, before you call for the vote, let me say that I agree that we shouldn't have this situation with Mr. Myers. We shouldn't have this situation with any taxpayer. But it is my belief that this is a vote to either maintain the status quo or to take a chance on trying to move forward. Not only, the consequences are not only that we're looking at the taxes that Mr. Myers does not pay, but if he chooses not to pay his taxes, this property will go to tax sale. And we will actually try to sell the tax liens. And if no one buys the tax liens, which is a strong possibility, we own those liens. We already own some liens of property over there now. And then it's just simply in our hands. What do we really do with that? I think that when you look at the situation where we find ourselves, you always have to look at the situation as it is. And I'd like to ask all of the council members, if they possibly could, to take their emotions out of this. And I know it's difficult to do that. I'm an emotional person, and I understand sometimes it's difficult to move forward because we want to hold on to old feelings and other things. But this is a situation in which we find ourselves. The fact is that this is a vote for either to move forward or not to move forward. If in fact we don't pass this agreement today, I'll accept it. I'll accept it not so much as it's my agreement. It's not my agreement. As the mayor, I'm authorized to do the negotiation for the town, but I'm only 50% of the government. And if our governing body decides not to go along with me, I have no problem with going back telling Mr. Myers that we did not approve the agreement, and then he can do, I guess, whatever he really wants to do. But I think that if we don't have this agreement, we need to ask ourselves, where do we go from here? You know, what are we doing? We will eventually, even if we don't initiate eminent domain, which I would strongly recommend that we do not, because that's going to be costly and we'll end up owning the property. But a little at a time, the value of this property every year is going down. And number two, when we go to tax sale, we'll probably own some of those liens. And it's really interesting. The whole process of going to tax sale even cost us. It cost us $15 for every line item that's listed as it relates to the tax sale. So there's just a lot of implications to this. The status quo just can't be maintained. Not moving forward is kind of like saying it can't be fixed. Let's close our eyes to it. I'm angry with Hilly Myers. I don't like him. He's a rich guy. He should have paid his taxes, and we're going to show him. It's almost like taking poison and expecting someone else to die. That's the way that I see it. I understand that there are individuals who don't see it that way, but that's the reality. So I would strongly recommend to the council that they give this opportunity a year to work. That's all we're asking for. If it doesn't work, we'll be right back to where we are now, but we need to give it an opportunity to work.
Well, I'd still like to comment back on that. You know, Mayor, you suggest people take out the emotions. What I suggest is you take out the politics of this. Because right now, we're the ones that have gone through all this, and you're suggesting we go through it again. Now, I don't think anybody here is saying we're against the agreement, but we're against the agreement the way it's written. There's nothing in here for the town, for the residents. You're trying to hold a carrot in front of us saying, oh, well, you're going to get the taxes. The man owes us the money. You yourself, somebody said, oh, he's loaded. Pay your taxes. Pay your taxes. You know, next year, you think if you give him everything, I mean, you're taking away all of the township's leverage. That's not a negotiation. So you're right, this was not your agreement. This was their agreement that you brought to us. And I think you owe it to the taxpayers of this town to do a better job with this negotiation.
Well, perhaps you're right, Councilmember Murphy. I don't claim to be the best negotiator in the world. and perhaps you're right. But as it relates to what are we giving him? Number one, he asked for the removal of this construction case, $60,000. Our lawyer indicates that it will probably cost us more than that to defend it. As it relates to the liquor license, you know, we're not giving him the liquor license. He owns this liquor license. What we've done, we've simply put up an objection to it being renewed. So the objection to him, if it been renewed, we don't own it. We don't get anything for that. We don't get anything for maintaining our objection to it. This objection we've had on the books for some years. There's nothing that we're getting from that. All that we're saying, let's simply remove our renewal, our objection to the renewal, to give him to give him an opportunity to use that liquor license as part of his bargaining for his for the partners that we hope that he'll find. The license is not going to go anywhere. It'll be right here still, and then we can still present our objective to him or anybody else having it. As it relates to what else that we might be giving him. Mr. Myers should pay his taxes on time, like everyone else should pay his taxes on time. But there are individuals, there are corporations, and there are individuals who don't pay their taxes on time, but they pay the penalties and interest. No one really has to pay their taxes. We wish everybody would, but and a mayor does not have the authority to forgive taxes, the council neither. But if in fact he doesn't pay them, where are we? So I'm asking myself, what are we giving up? You know, you might say, well, let's have him to pay his taxes by March rather than June. Well, I'm not so sure what's so magic about that date, especially if in fact he wants to go from March to June to have more time to raise money, to do whatever he really needs to do. What we're looking at is what are we trying to achieve? And I really think that this is an opportunity for us after decades trying to move something forward on this. Let's take a chance on this year. So, you know, that's all that I'm saying. And again, if in fact the council chooses not to take a chance to move forward with this 1 year, I'll go back and I'll tell Mr. Myers, and then we'll refocus our attention on many of the other challenges that we have. But that one will be out there looming for us.
Well, I will ask you to refocus your negotiations with Mr. Meyer for the paying his 2020 taxes by March 1st of 2021. That's when we release and allow the liquor license to be renewed. That should not impede his negotiations. And like I said, if it means more for him, then he should be anxious. He should be anxious to pay his taxes. As far as raise money, I think you yourself told me he has plenty of it. Why should he have to raise money? If he's trying to raise money to pay his 2020 taxes, we're in big trouble. As far as 2021 taxes at that time, his 2021 taxes at that time have to be current because his track record has not been good. And this resolution is just, it's crazy to sit here, to discuss this, to try to agree on a settlement that you can change.
Well, let me say, I don't remember saying he's got a lot of money. I really don't know how much he has. I mean, I really don't. But
well, actually, we shouldn't care.
I agree. But this negotiation has been in effect for a year. And while I don't know what Mr. Myers will say or do when I go back to him and tell him that my governing partners did not approve this agreement, my sense, and I think I've got a relatively good sense of it because, as Mr. Shortway will tell you, it's not even easy to get in contact with him. It's really not. All of this negotiation has been done by telephone. Mr. Myers is the kind of person who's not all that comfortable with Zoom. So I've never, you know, we haven't seen each other. We haven't sat across the table from each other. I do know that he's probably putting in $1 million, $1.5 million a year just to maintain that facility. I think that part of his incentive is to number one, stop putting in that million, a million and a half, and not to feel like this facility is a failure to him, which I think that he does. And I think that that's kind of the hook for me to get him to do something. So I think, and I'll go back to him, but I think that it's either we take a chance on this 1 year for us in Vernon Township, not so much for him, or we maintain the status quo and see what happens. And that's okay if that's what the governing body wants to do.
I'd like to say one thing.
Go ahead, John.
I'd like to say I don't like the fact that it keeps getting painted that the only way that we move forward is by this council agreeing on this resolution. There is nothing stopping the owner of this property from seeking any banking to redevelop, seeking to sell the property. It just seems, I keep hearing, well, unless we agree to this, you want the status quo. You want it to stay this way. We don't want it to stay this way. We want to move the township forward. So I do not like that keeps saying that the only way that we move forward is if we agree to this. Once again, I do not like the way this agreement is written, and I want things to move forward, but I'm not going to keep turning back like we've had with the past agreements of past councils where everything was given to private companies on the burden of the taxpayers. So that's all I have to say. And I wasn't emotional until I keep hearing this.
Well, I do apologize, Councilmember Allberger. Those are not Mr. Myers' words; those are mine. And I probably have not necessarily stated that accurately. I hadn't stated it probably the way I should have. But I do believe that is the situation. It might not be, but I do believe that be the situation. But I do apologize for as if I'm trying to put. I believe all of the council members want to move forward. I believe everybody want to move forward as much as I do. I think that we just disagree on how we can possibly do that. And I really think that this is a very, very good chance for us.
Can I have a motion to close the debate?
Motion to close discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Vice President Allberger,
To close discussion, yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries to close discussion.
Can I have a resolution, can I have a motion to vote on resolution 20-260? Resolution authorizing settlement agreement with Monterey Corporation Legends Resort Country Club Condominium Association. This resolution will authorize the settlement agreement. Is there a motion?
Motion to vote on resolution 2260.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Marcy.
Vice President Allberger,
No.
Councilmember Murphy,
No.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Going to give this a yes to kick it down the road, but I'm expecting a lot from Meditari.
Councilmember Weller,
I mean, this is a difficult one. I see both sides of this. I really do. And I don't know if I believe this is the only way to move things forward. I think I'm gonna go no on this.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion does not carry.
May I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Everybody have a
opposed?
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
The
Christmas.
same to everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.